For Filipino and other products from Asia, as well as fresh fruits and vegetables, poultry, meats, and seafood, come and visit 88 Supermarket with branches at 4801 Victoria Drive and its new location at 2611 East 49th Avenue in Vancouver.
Philippine News Canada is brought to you by Rayford Media Group.
Hello mga kabayan! Narito na ang pinalawak at pinalakas na coverage ng Philippine News Canada, Balitang Vancouver Nationwide, mga pangunahing balitang nakalap ng aming news team para sa linggong ito. Mula dito sa Surrey, nagbabalita ako po si Rosette Correa at ito ang Philippine News Canada, Balitang Vancouver. Hello mga kabayan! Magandang araw po sa inyo. Kasama natin ngayon ang isa sa mga well-respected chefs in Canadian, here in BC and in Canadian, the Canadian culinary arts scene. Of course, she will tell us a bit about her work and what she's been doing in the community as well as some of the endeavors that she's had. Mga kababayan, i-welcome po natin si Helen Orimaco Pumatong. Hi, Helen.
Hello. Good evening. Good
Good evening. Good evening. Thank you so much for allowing us to. I know you're very busy, and you've given us this opportunity to talk to you a little bit more about this field that a lot of people, of course, are very familiar with, but really don't know. The status of Filipino Canadians in it. So thank you so much again for being on our show. So first things first. So first things first, how did you get started in your career?
Well, starting in my career, like I've mentioned before, I am the oldest of 5 children. So it was kind of a brought-on career. My parents made me help. I'm the oldest, so I was cooking at a very young age. And then back in high school, those were courses that were offered to us in high school. So there was cafeteria, part of the home ec, and foods. So I was really interested in it. Maybe they were the easiest courses, but I loved it. And again, it was something that came naturally to me because I was already doing it at home. And then, I stayed in it because it's just a natural instinct for me to do. Mm-hmm.
And when you talk about getting inspired in high school, what high school did you go to?
I went to David Thompson, so in Southeast Van. Not very many Filipinos. So back in the the 80s there, the mid 80s, late 80s. So it was a lot of it wasn't very French training then, but it was cafeteria cooking and just home ec foods, right? So the foundation, right?
Well, definitely a lot of youngsters do get inspired into whatever careers they go into when they're in high school. So tell us about your your culinary arts training and how did that go for you after high school?
Well, actually, during high school, I did get a job at a hotel at a young age, like 17, 18, and with responsibilities of being there on the weekends. But I didn't actually go into culinary. I went into dietary aid. So I was a dietary aid for a while. And then I did go into cooking in the hospital. Mm-hmm. So I was at the hospital, Mount St. Joseph Hospital. I worked there for 10 years and at Uville residence for 14 years.
Yep.
And I started cooking there and the interest just grew from there.
Mm-hmm.
And then it wasn't until in my 30s, like when I turned 30, that I actually took the official culinary arts program at VCC.
Oh, so wow, late bloomer.
Late bloomer, but it was already in my blood. I just needed to get the official papers. Mm-hmm. I had to get my red seal and then do my apprenticeship. Yes.
Well, you did
Hmm.
mention that, as the eldest of, how many siblings? The eldest of
There's
three
five of us.
or five?
So
Okay.
two
So
brothers, two sisters. Yes.
yeah.
Mhm.
So the eldest of five siblings. What did mom inspire you or grandma inspire you
Uh,
to cooking into cooking, or what was their input
well,
into your love for
well,
cooking?
my backstory is my mother was the home ec teacher back in the Philippines, and we did come here when I was 6 years old. So I
Mm-hmm.
would say she was still in her just turned 30, I
Mm-hmm.
guess, when we did come here. And so when we came, I guess we're new to Canada, so we get together with the other back then it was like Boholanos and Cebuanos because we're very Bisaya.
Mm-hmm.
So we would get together and it was a feast every single time. So
Mm-hmm.
my story is there's five siblings. We had every birthday party was celebrated.
Mm-hmm.
Every holiday was celebrated
An
with
excuse to have food, right?
yes, exactly, and to have people over. That was
Mm-hmm.
how you connected back with your culture, your roots, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
hmm
Oh, okay. By the way, we would like to let our viewers know that we're live right now on Facebook. So catch us
oh,
on
okay,
Facebook right now. Yeah, we're live. Okay,
okay,
so going back to your culinary career. So you said you were already 30. You were
yes,
married by then, and
no,
nope, not yet.
no, not
Mm.
yet. Late bloomer, right?
Late
Very
bloomer.
late bloomer. I didn't actually, so back then I went to school. Culinary school was one of the best years of my life. I will tell
Mhm,
you that. It
mhm,
was, I didn't miss any day of school, even if I was sick back then. That's how it was. I volunteered. So every kind of volunteer function, I was there, helped out. And
mhm,
then after that, I even, after school, I actually just got a job at one of my instructor's restaurants. So I had every month we had a different instructor. That's just how
mhm,
VCC was.
mhm,
And I think it was mid schooling. One of my instructors owned a French restaurant in
mhm,
West Van, and he
mhm,
was kind of saying how he needed staff. And I don't know if something triggered inside me. And I came the next day with a resume and I said, I would like to apply.
mhm.
You know, it was in West Van. I didn't have a car, I didn't have anything. It took me an hour and a half to get to his place to work at the restaurant on Marine Drive there. But I was very eager
Mhm.
and I started working for La Toupe Blanche, a French restaurant. Yeah.
That's fantastic. But what a great way to start your career, hey? French restaurant.
Oh yes, and with a very popular chef, and he was doing very well. Um, but I mean, I will really tell you the story coming from a hospital
Mhm.
cook. At that time, we were making $21 an hour, right? With
Wow.
the way it was, and then going to a restaurant and making $9 an hour,
Oh my goodness.
right? And an hour and a half commute each
Mhm.
way. So it was a real sacrifice,
Mhm.
right? But when you're in your 30s, you just want a career, even if it doesn't pay right away. And that's where you have to understand that just
Mhm.
to get started.
Yeah.
Um, but if you want to go far, there's so many opportunities.
And of course, from there, everything had evolved.
Yeah.
Now you have your own catering business.
Yeah, so it's kind of very personal
Mhm.
catering business because I do still work for some catering companies. I work full time at the college. I have kids, and so it really is. Right now, it's like a friends and family, but it's a word of mouth, and it's grown, but it's nice and manageable still right
Mhm.
now. So yes,
And of course, aside from that, you're also teaching, right?
yes. So
Hmm.
I teach at the college full time. So yes.
And what are what does that look like? What's the hours there? And then you go to your catering and oh my
Um,
goodness, you are really a busy person.
yeah, well, I mean, with the college, they are, it's an 8 to 2 job, but doing prep, and I've got right now even I've got eight almost 90 students in a
Mm-hmm.
semester.
Mm-hmm.
So the way it works differently. So in the semester from January to April, I go through 90 students
Mm-hmm.
training. But it's so much fun. I love it. I keep joking around. That's why I have gray hair. That's for my students, right?
Hey, we're in the
Oh, yeah, I
club.
love it. It's okay.
We're in
But
the same club.
it is stressful, but I love it. I love the rewards after with being with my
Absolutely.
students. Hmm.
Absolutely. Now, aside from that, I know that was it last year or 2 years ago that you went to Germany with a team, with a culinary team.
Yes.
Tell us about that.
So actually with that same chef that I worked at the restaurant, it was his restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
He was became the department head of Vancouver Community College. So he's actually like one of my best friends as well. He's actually my son's godfather,
Mm-hmm.
Ryland's godfather. So it's
Mm-hmm.
he's been a part of our lives, and he's the manager. He's the manager of culinary team BC and the junior team Canada. So we're there for support for him and for the team. So the
Mm-hmm.
young kids, they're junior. So junior team Canada is from any yeah, they have to be younger than 25.
Oh,
So
okay.
we are their support. So I'm like the mother. I'm there to make sure when we travel to Germany,
Mm-hmm.
I'm the chef. So we get them sorted out. Um, we're the chaperones, right? So I
Mm-hmm.
am like the
Mm-hmm.
mother. And then I feed them. I cook for them. I make sure that everyone we're at a hotel, but normally we have our own kitchen so that we cook for ourselves as well.
Mm-hmm. And
So
does this
I'm
happen? Is this does this happen every year?
every 4 years. So it's an
Oh,
Olympic.
okay. Like the
We
Olympics.
like it is exactly like the Olympics, right?
Okay.
So we will be going back again
Mm-hmm.
2024
Mm-hmm.
back to Germany. So
Okay.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's what we were preparing for right now as well.
Well, good luck to you, of course.
Mhm.
All the time we want to watch these contests, we want to watch these competitions. They're just awesome, right? We just see
Yes,
young talent emerging
yes.
from these competitions.
So if you
Now,
even want to know, sorry, I was just going to mention, just so you know, there's a few Filipino girls in
oh, is
on the
that
team as
right?
well.
Oh,
So we've got
okay.
a couple pastry.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's so fascinating to watch these young girls, these young talented kids. And I mean, and then when you see Filipinos there, it's very inspiring, right? So
For Filipino and other products from Asia, as well as fresh fruits and vegetables, poultry, meats, and seafood, come and visit 88 Supermarket with branches at 4801 Victoria Drive and its new location at 2611 East 49th Avenue in Vancouver.
Well, and speaking of
mhm.
Filipinos in the industry, how big do you think is the population of Filipinos in the culinary industry right now here in
um,
BC?
they're everywhere. We're everywhere. The hotels that we worked at, um, the school is also filled with international Filipino students
Mm-hmm.
as well as domestic. If you want to know percentages, um, in the hotel, I will tell you 30%.
Wow, in the
30%, yes.
kitchen, in the
In the kids,
kitchen.
oh yes.
Wow,
And mostly women. You'll be
and
proud and
mostly
you'll be
women.
happy. Yeah, you'll be happy to hear.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Mostly women as well. So the places I've been to, I'm gonna say 30%, if not even more,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Wow,
So
that's amazing. And we
mm,
never talk about, we never talk about Filipinos in the culinary industry. We just assume that a lot of us are probably in more on the hospitality side and on the hotel side, but not
mhm,
really in the kitchen. But wow, 30% of the
yes,
kitchen.
yes.
Amazing. That is amazing to know. So
Yeah.
one of the things that I've always been wanting to ask you is about the it's always about people saying that why isn't Filipino food in the mainstream? They're always asking us about that. And you hear stories of friends and family saying, "Oh my gosh, you have to go to a Filipino party because their food is amazing." And you hear all of these compliments, yet we've not really seen Filipino food in the mainstream. Why is that?
Um, I think, I mean, first of all, I think it's because oh, it's very everyone loves their own way of doing it,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I will tell you, Filipinos love their way and that way only
Mm-hmm.
sometimes. So if adobo is this way, if something someone brings it up, they're like, oh no, that's not the way it's supposed to be. We're our worst critics, just so you know
Mm-hmm.
that,
Mm-hmm.
right? So
Mm-hmm.
again, it's one of those things. Um, Maybe it's just supporting each other. I think we need a little bit more support for each other. Um, Maybe also when you go to a restaurant or you're not going to order a dish because you can make it at home. That's how
Mm-hmm.
Filipinos think as well.
Mm-hmm.
So again, it hasn't gone mainstream. It hasn't been exposed because it gets lost. It gets
Mm-hmm.
maybe looked at as maybe a Chinese dish, right?
Mm-hmm.
More like a noodle dish. Oh, that's, like palabok. I mean, it's very clear that's Filipino, but if no one described it to you or whatever, that they would think another Asian dish,
Right, right.
right?
And
So
yeah.
and that's where I just kind of wonder sometimes why we don't expose it a little bit more. Just it just
Mm-hmm.
gets lost in the mix, I think,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm. That is true.
And
And yeah, sorry.
no, I was just gonna say I really think we're our own worst critics,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So, but
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And you give the palabok as an example too. Like pancit palabok is also different in different regions, right?
mm,
So and different in different families as well.
yeah,
So
and yes, even the
you're yeah, absolutely, you're right. We are our own worst critics.
yes.
It's
And
amazing.
really, you don't want to spend money on it because you can make it at home. And
That's right.
I don't know from 20 years ago if maybe you remember, there was some Filipino fusion restaurants.
Mm-hmm.
But when you add fusion to it, you add a few more dollars to it,
Mm-hmm.
and Filipinos will not go out to spend, you know, little intricate, Shanghais or not looking really pretty and nicely plated for $15-$20, right?
Mm-hmm.
When it's
Mm-hmm.
street food and it can be cheaper. So,
That is true.
yeah.
Although when you talk about street food, in the past, I think a few years, a lot
Mhm.
of our young, a lot of our entrepreneurs are now moving into that street food scene and that food truck scene. And I think that's where we're trying to get into the culinary scene here in Vancouver. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Well, it's always the easiest kind of way to get into a culture is with cultural food is in the street food, because it's not really too much of a commitment. It's like little nibblies,
Mm-hmm.
right? And you get the flavor of it. I think these young guys going into it have the right idea,
Mm-hmm.
right? Their food trucks are out there exposed. Um, and, a lot of people have been traveling the Philippines.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of what they're eating is the street foods. So
Mm-hmm.
there's more of a connection now, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah,
mhm.
and you can also see it in the supermarkets. I remember one of the ads of Superstore in December was mentioning. I don't know if you caught that on the radio, and they were talking about and adding baked beans to your tapsilog, and it was just amazing how
Yeah.
it's slowly becoming part of the language of food here in
Mhm.
Vancouver. And my daughter and I, we love grocery shopping, and um, one time we went grocery shopping, we saw a jar of Philippine adobo sauce
Wow.
uh,
I haven't
from
seen that yet.
from PC, from President's Choice.
Oh,
They're
oh,
actually
wow.
developing, they're
Yeah.
actually developing sauces, because you would see on the shelves there would be tandoori sauce or butter
Hmm.
chicken
Butter
sauce, or
chicken,
yeah, or what's this,
a stir fry
plum
sauce,
sauce,
even.
yeah,
Yeah.
but you don't see adobo sauce,
Oh,
right?
so that's good. It's out there.
Yeah, and so it's really, like I said, it's slowly getting into the mainstream, but not as fast as we as we want it to go, but it's
Mhm.
right there. One of the things that I saw from one of the vloggers on the internet is that he went to the Philippines and tried all the Filipino foods there because he wanted to see why Filipino food is not as mainstream as it should be. And one of the things that he says is that there's really no distinguishable food flavor or trademark dish from the Philippines because we were influenced by many countries. And
Mm-hmm.
so there's really like for example, if you say Chinese food, what's the first thing that comes into your mind, right? If you say Italian food, there's always something that's attached to that particular cuisine. But in the
Mm-hmm.
Philippines, he says there seems to be a lack of a distinguishable trademark food. What do you say about that?
Um, which is true, except for, I mean, um, if you say Filipino food, you would say rice, right? And
Mhm,
adobo and things like that. Because if you said noodle, you would think Chinese again,
mhm,
right? So
mhm, mhm,
I think it's accepting rice as one of our main things, and the sauces or the adobo sauce or the humbat sauce or whatever it is that comes with that rice as well.
mhm, mhm,
And whether it's like longanisa, whatever, it's that is the mainstream, and it's just kind of we're very much known for our meat. We're meat eaters.
mhm.
So again, just pork belly, right?
Yeah.
So
Mhm,
those are the mainstream, but I also think that um, it's really changing, though. It really
mhm,
is
mhm,
changing. While you were explaining all this, I was thinking about why it's not mainstream. It's not
mhm,
mainstream here, maybe in Vancouver and
mhm.
Canada, and Vancouver, I'm going to say,
Yeah.
because we are such a diverse community, diverse area. But let's just say, I mean, we go to a lot of people used to go to the States, to Seattle.
Mhm, mhm,
Okay, we always used to go to Jollibee, right?
mhm,
In Seattle, in the mall. Um, I see it there. I see it being
mhm,
exposed.
mhm.
I see it a
Yeah.
little bit more because they have that. We don't have, we're getting Jollibee. We're getting a
Mhm,
few, apparently, and that
mhm,
will help us get mainstream, right?
mhm,
They will get a taste of palabok in
mhm,
fast food. Then they'll
mhm,
be saying, let's try it somewhere in a real restaurant. And then the
mhm,
flavors get out there. And that's what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping for, I know that's depending on the big names to do it, but it
mhm,
will be that way. It's gonna be that way where they expose the public more.
mhm. Well, now
Hmm.
that you've mentioned it, I was going to ask you if you were to showcase a Filipino dish, let's say, for example, if this is going to be the gateway dish to what Filipino food is, what would that dish be and how would you prepare it?
Well, um, I'm just, it would have to be pork of some sort. um, but I mean, I've just recently talked about this, but I really think, someone said something about sisig, and I
Mhm.
love sisig, but I don't think it can easily slide into, the mainstream society right now with what it actually is traditionally. But
Yeah.
I think, but I mean, the flavors
Just
are
don't
there,
let
but
them know what's in it.
just don't mention, let them know it tastes good.
Yeah.
But something that they're familiar with, and like I mean, I we fight it, but I really think adobo is good. Like,
Yeah.
it's good. It's in every household. But just the name, just getting the name adobo out there. I know it's already out there, but letting them taste that there's different. But there, even though there's different flavors of it or different variations,
Mhm.
the mainstream is there. The soy sauce, the vinegar, the peppercorns, the bay leaf, that's there. Everything else is kind of addition. So it really has the sweet, the savory,
Mhm.
all the flavors, that the balance is there. So
Mhm.
um, I really think it could work because now even at home here, we do jackfruit, right?
Mhm.
So you can do, you know, um,
A vegetarian version.
Vegetarian version, just as long as you're incorporating that flavor, and you can call anything adobo, really, right?
Yeah. Oh, there's adobong kangkong too.
Yes, exactly. So again, just accepting that adobo is really a national way of presenting Filipino food, and just accepting it, and you can have adobo, the vegetarian style with the jackfruit, and you can have pork, you can have chicken wings, right? You can just so many different ways of doing it. So
thank you. And last word to all our aspiring chefs and who wish to be in the culinary industry.
I go for it. Follow your dreams. There's so much out there. There's a lot of support as well, right? So that's what I always like to think is you're not in it alone, even though sometimes you feel like you're in it alone. It's hard work. You miss your birthdays, you miss your family's birthdays, you miss Christmas, and the holidays because you're cooking for everybody else. I tell my cooks now, you miss lunch because you're cooking for everybody else. But again, it will pay off. Like if you love what you do, it doesn't matter if you're working all hours of the day. You're going to be happy about it. So that's what I've got.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Helen. This was such a wonderful interview.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
More power to you.
Thank you.
Okay.
God bless you as well.
God bless. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Nagpapasalamat po kami sa aming mga sponsors, ang 99 Cents and Up Store sa Richmond, ang Kabalen Sweets Restaurant and Catering sa New Westminster, at ang 88 Supermarket na may 2 branches sa Killarney Market at sa Victoria Drive. Maraming salamat po. At di na naman nagtatapos ang balita namin para sa linggong ito. Kung kayo may mga komento, mga issue o balitang nais niyong ibahagi sa aming programa, ang PNC ay bukas para sa inyong lahat. Mag-email lamang po sa balitangvancouver@gmail.com o tumawag sa 604-588-6397. Nagbabalita mula dito sa Surrey, ako po si Rosette Correa. At ito, ang Philippine News Canada, Balitang Vancouver.
For Filipino and other products from Asia, as well as fresh fruits and vegetables, poultry, meats, and seafood, come and visit 88 Supermarket with branches at 4801 Victoria Drive and its new location at 2611 East 49th Avenue in Vancouver.